right. Today's date is Wednesday, October 31st, 2012. I'm interviewing Mr. Gene Kruckemyer in his office at University of Central Florida about his involvement with the Public History Center and the Student Museum. When did you first move to Sanford?
I moved in Sanford in 2004, so I've lived within view of the museum for the past 8 years. I can see it from my front porch.
Nice. And where are you originally from?
From Orlando.
Oh, Orlando, okay. And what brought you specifically to Sanford?
Back in 2004, when we had a succession of 3 hurricanes coming through Central Florida, the first hurricane came. We had purchased a house in Sanford as an investment, actually, and we weren't going to move there. But the first hurricane came and knocked our power out in Orlando. We had the house in Sanford, it had power. We decided to just move up there until everything was okay back in Orlando. And then 2 more hurricanes came and did the same thing, and we just finally decided to stay in Sanford because we enjoyed living there, we enjoyed the town, we enjoyed the people.
Yes, and you worked at the Sanford Herald for a while.
Currently, I'm at the university's News and Information Office. I'm the news editor. Previous 3 years I was the publisher at the Sanford Herald, and for the 33 years before that I worked at the Orlando Sentinel.
Oh, okay. And what did you do at the Sanford Herald?
I was the publisher, which is basically the CEO of the newspaper, making sure all the different departments work together.
And how did you first learn about the Student Museum?
Well, it was in my time as publisher at the Herald. While living right across the park from it, I couldn't avoid it, but the issues that were coming to the museum were that it was during a critical time while I was the publisher that the Seminole School Board was considering closing the building down because of economic reasons, and people in town and the whole county got involved and started creating committees to preserve the building, and that's how the Herald got involved. And one of the things that we did was to redo the school bell that had not been used for decades. The building was built in 1902, and it was first used as a senior high school. I think in 1911 it became a grammar school, and it was that until 1984 when it was put on the National Register of Historic Places, and it was turned to the Seminole County's Student Museum, or actually it had a longer name, like you probably know what it is. It was the Student Museum and Center for the Social Studies is what they call it, but most people just call it the Student Museum. And it was a place where 4th graders go to learn Florida history, and it was a hands-on interpretive museum for other people to come in during the week and learn different things about local history and Florida history and the native Floridians, pioneers, a demonstration garden in the back to show what people used to grow at the turn of the 20th century. So it's an interesting place.
And how did you get specifically involved with the bell?
I did a column one time. It was a Q&A with the building. I asked the building questions and it answered questions. And I had talked to a friend of mine in Sanford. Her name is Betty Skates, and she was a student at the, I think she was there when it was at the grammar school. And she said she wished that bell would be able to be rung again. It hadn't been rung in decades. Nobody knows why it was stopped being used. But in 1916, the building got electricity, so they put an electric bell. Sometime after that, they stopped using the bell, which had a pull cord that went from the bell tower to the principal's office, but the hole was blocked off, so it wasn't used. And I was talking to Betty, and she said she sure wished that bell would be able to be used again. So I thought that'd be a good project for the Sanford Herald. We decided to make it work. So I talked with the then superintendent, whose name was Bill Vogel, and we figured out how much it was going to cost, and I contacted a friend of mine in Sanford whose name is Steve Myers. He's a historic preservationist and he does construction work, and he and I went up one day and he did all the work and I was the gopher, and I ran his errands, and he made a new channel for the rope and put a marine grade rope up there, and now it goes to the principal's office, and every year they use the bell on the first day of school to signal the start of school for each year.
Wow. And what was, you talked a little bit about the process of restoration. What was the community reaction to this project?
Well, you can imagine a lot of people that went to school there over the years had a soft spot for the building, so they were objecting to the plans to either close the school on purpose or just let it fade away. So a lot of people formed committees to preserve the building. They raised money in different ways. They had sale. I think they still have a periodic garage sale, or at least until UCF took over. They used to have periodic garage sales to help offset the cost, because the school board was in some dire financial problems because of the economy, so they didn't have the money for it. But at least the community groups kept it going long enough until UCF thankfully came in and leased the building to use it for a public history center.
And let's see, what other projects were you involved with the museum, if any?
That's pretty much as far as the Sanford Herald. I mean, it's right there in my neighborhood, so I'm sort of a watchdog to see if there's anything that ever needs to be reported, if there's something going on. So other than that, it's really the only thing.
And are you involved with the Public History Center now?
I've been to several of the events that have been there. They just had the Pumpkin Fest, and I was there on the opening day of school. And there was another event recently I went to.
The open house.
The open house.
And you've lived in Sanford since 2004. Have you seen a lot of changes in the community of Sanford since the time you've lived there?
I live in the historic district, and then the museum, or the public history center, is in the historic district. So we live in an area that doesn't see as much change as a lot of places, because there are a lot of restrictions what you can and can't do. But I don't mind. I moved into the neighborhood knowing that was the case, and I think the historic district is one of the things that's really saved Sanford, because people got the interest in preserving the neighborhood, preserving the houses, preserving the way things used to be, and it's something I enjoy.
Nice. And when you said you worked at the Herald, what would you say one of your more memorable experiences with the Herald? I know the Herald goes back and is a part of Sanford it's been around for a long time. What would you say your most memorable experience working at this smaller paper when compared to the Sentinel is?
Well, in my time there, I always maintained that the community papers were going to be the ones to survive, because on the bigger papers, they carry a lot of things that you can get online in 100 different sources. The things that are in a community paper are only in the community paper. And one of my goals was to make sure that we could provide to the community what they needed to know, and people seemed to respond. We did all kinds of reader interactive things and contests, and I started something called the Centennial Forum, which was every edition we'd have an opinion piece written by somebody from around town. We had all kinds of people writing, from supervisor of elections to handymen to teachers, just everybody. So that was something that got a lot of positive response, and it worked so well that once I came here, I sort of hijacked that idea and brought it to the university, and we started a similar thing called the UCF Forum. And every Wednesday we have an opinion piece by somebody that's on our panel. We have 9 people on the panel, and they rotate. And so we have an opinion piece that runs on the UCF website every Wednesday.
Very nice. And now you said you had a column with the museum. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
The original one was a column I wrote when I was at the Sentinel, and that was the one I had the Q&A where I talked to the building and,
yes.
and asked it how old it was, and its interest and its favorite movies, that sort of thing.
And what were its answers?
I don't remember offhand. I know I asked about relatives, and they said it had relatives all over the world, like the Louvre and Smithsonian.
And how would you describe the community of Sanford to someone that doesn't know Sanford?
As I said, I moved 8 years ago, and it's not as congested as Orlando is. It's a community that I enjoy, and in fact, they're undergoing a program right now called Imagine Sanford. It's a group that's been called together, and I'm on the committee to do that. It's a board that's looking to see what Sanford wants to be in the next 10, 20, 30 years. What are the things we value? What are the things we want to improve? What are the things we want to change? So this is something that we're undergoing right now, and hopefully by next May we'll have a report to give to the City Commission to tell what we think should be done.
Wow, that's really interesting. Well, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you doing this interview with me.
You're welcome. I hope you got enough.